The Terminator series is undoubtedly one of the most well-loved franchises in pop culture and has quite a dedicated fan following. The franchise has left behind a legacy, and various characters appearing in the movies are well-loved even today. One such character is a unit of the T-800 Terminator, famously portrayed by Arnold Schwarzenegger back in 1984. T-800 is undoubtedly one of the most well-known Terminator units in the franchise, and it is essentially a cybernetic organism that can take a human form and infiltrate humans before killing them. The T-800 has some unique physiological details, and today we will explore its anatomy and tell you everything about its bodily functions. But before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. So thank you, and let's begin. Exploring the human appearance and skin type of the T-800. The T-800 was Skynet's first cybernetic creation and was made of living tissues combined with a hyperalloy exoskeleton. This silvery exoskeleton consisted of some frictionless bearings that were fitted into its joints, and it also had a control system that allowed its limbs to move back and forth in a straight line. The exoskeleton was constructed from highly advanced technology and controlled by the very well-designed microprocessor made from triple armored hyperalloy. The T-800's bodily limbs were controlled with the help of axial drive motors. They also had a trailing link fitted around their clavicles, allowing them to move more efficiently and speedily. The T-800's exoskeleton was much more advanced than the T-600, and it was almost 40% stronger than it. The T-800's exoskeleton was also relatively light, yet it could withstand high-powered explosions or dangerous weapons without damage. The T-800 also had a jack at the back of its head, and one could plug it into a cable to feed it new instructions. Some Terminators were also known as infiltrators, and they could take the form of a human to infiltrate the resistance and appear as living humans. A T-800's infiltrator's body was covered with living tissue that gave it a human-like appearance and even enabled it to have flesh, hair, skin, blood, and other bodily substances. It also had a circulatory system that was injected with the help of a bodily pump, which pumped out blood if the T-800 was injured to fool the humans. The T-800 could regrow any wounded tissues as long as the entire flesh was not destroyed, but the time period for this regrowth is unknown. The living tissues in the T-800's body shared the same heat signature as the human tissues, and thermal scanners could not distinguish between humans and T-800s. This virtually made them undetectable, and their bodies could also replicate bleeding, sweating, and even aging, which greatly enabled them to blend in well among humans. However, this was not always the case, as Skynet's initial designs had not yet perfected how to replicate human skin. The earlier Terminator's tissues and skin would start decaying after a while and even give off a bad smell. Over time, the issue was fixed, and the infiltrator models were enhanced to mimic human skin perfectly. The Terminator is powered by a heart-shaped nuclear-powered cell. While the Terminator is essentially a killing machine, it also needed a power source to keep it going. The T-800's body was powered by a nuclear power cell that was fitted into its chest cavity and even shaped like a heart. This power cell could pump enough energy to power an entire city for a day, and it was also securely shielded to ensure that it was not damaged. The power cell was triple armored by a hyperalloy that would ensure that the Terminator does not go haywire due to all the high-powered energy, and even ensure that the power source is safe and secure. This was also essential since the cell was powered by a nuclear energy and had the potential to cause large-scale damage if it ever exploded.
What's the dog's name?
Max. Hey, Janelle. What's wrong with...
What enables the Terminator to speak like a human? The T-800 was equipped with technology that helped them speak like humans, and he even had vocals that allowed him to copy human speech patterns. The T-800 could record and store syllables from the target's voice and reprocess these sounds to synthesize a new speech pattern. This allowed it to speak like a human, and the T-800's auditory sensors were also placed in the exact location of human ears. While one sensor recorded a wide range of sounds, the other sensor processed them and even narrowed down a specific sound from these multiple external sounds. Exploring the enhanced vision of the T-800. T-800 also had advanced vision due to its highly advanced optical sensors that had countless features. These sensors could detect a range of visible frequencies even in total darkness and then display this information on a 40,000-bit digital display. Its eyes could move independently and even track two different directions independently at the same time. The T-800's eyes had a concussion-proof lens, and it even created depth perception by using a computer-generated off-angle image with the help of AI. The T-800 could detect and recognize faces, engage in motion tracking, and search and scan for things. These optical sensors could even magnify an image up to 15 times its original size with the help of a zoom feature as well as night vision. These visual systems were programmed in COBOL and 6502 assemblies, which maximized its eyesight and gave it the best possible vision. Skynet also had given a unique feature to these infiltrators, and their eyes could cry to convince the humans that they are just like them. The T-800 had tear ducts that could be triggered to ensure that the robotic killing machine could shed some tears if they ever needed to.
Sarah Connor?
Yes.
Why doesn't the Terminator feel any pain? Humans feel pain due to their nerves being affected by external stimuli, but the T-800 cannot feel pain due to an absence of nerve endings. While they did not experience pain intensely, they could sense any damage or injuries to their body. After sensing these injuries, the Terminator tried to fix them on his own, if possible, since there was no pain to hinder them from functioning at their usual capacity. How durable is the Terminator? The T-800s were created and then stored within a vault guarded with electric bolts, and then they were given different model numbers based on their differing human appearance. There were numerous T-800s with the same model number, meaning countless T-800s were stored together in this vault. They were hung in rows in steel racks, and each body had a cryogenic hypermatrix that ensured that the T-800's human exterior did not decay. The room was also vacuum sealed to make sure that their flesh was not exposed to warmth, and the T-800's skin was exactly replicated to appear as human-like as possible. The T-800s also did not need disguises on the battleground, as they already appeared as humans. Skynet would control these battle units with the help of a direct link command that was sent to the chamber's robotic controls. They even had an operating system known as the Hive, which hooked these battle units together within the Skynet and ensured that they shared a collective consciousness. The T-800 was quite resistant to attacks and surpassed the T-600 or T-700 in terms of durability. It had remarkable resistance and some unconventional ways of engaging in combat that helped them annihilate its opponents while remaining unscathed. The T-800 was also utterly resistant to some weak plasma weapons, but it could be destroyed if highly advanced plasma weapons were used to attack it. How is the T-800 so incredibly smart? The T-800 Terminator had a CPU that could operate in a read-write mode and a read-only mode, which meant that it could constantly be updated to teach him to do new things. The T-800 unit could learn new skills and continuously grow, which meant that it had a consciousness that allowed it to make its own decisions instead of relying on a strictly programmed codes to make any movement. One such T-800 Terminator is Carl, as he even grew a conscience after living among humans and learning their mannerisms. Does the T-800 have human reproductive parts? Can it reproduce? As seen in the Terminator movie, the T-800 does have human reproductive parts. When Skynet designed T-800 to have human features, the AI also included human genitals to ensure that the T-800 looked precisely human. Even if these reproductive parts served no purpose, it would have been easy to identify the T-800 if they did not have the same anatomy as the humans. The T-800 were a part of the infiltrator units that often blended in with crowds with the humans, and it was essential for their bodies to have the same features as these humans. However, other Terminators such as the T-850 and T-888 were seen engaging in intimate relations, and they possessed the ability to stimulate intercourse. This means that the T-800 may also be able to reproduce and impregnate someone, but it seems that the Skynet has preferred to leave them as just killing machines. The Terminator Dark Fate movie also explores this particular situation, wherein Grace Agents Danny and Sarah Connor approach the house of an elderly T-800 played by Arnold Schwarzenegger to find that he has a wife and son. They even asked him if his wife knew that he was a Terminator, but the T-800 replied, saying that they did not have a sexual relationship and that they only lived together because she needed somewhere safe to live. For a brief moment, the movie implied that the T-800 had a son, but it was clearly not the case, and the T-800 only stuck to using its human body to infiltrate humans and live among them. While they do have reproductive organs, these organs are only a part of their anatomy so that they could camouflage their true identity. Terminator cannot replicate the human smell. While Skynet had managed to create T-800 with enhanced vision, hearing, and other similar senses, along with a perfect human body, the human scent was one thing that the AI could never have replicated. When the T-800 infiltrated the humans, they had a unique smell that was the only feature that distinguished them from the humans and even enabled the humans to tell them apart. Dogs could sniff the T-800s and identify their unique smell, and humans often relied on sniffer dogs to investigate the crowds at the human camps to get rid of any T-800s that were lurking around.
The system goes online on August 4th, 1997. Human decisions are removed from strategic...
Why a Terminator doesn't age? While humans have the ability to age, Skynet had designed the Terminators so that they could live on for hundreds of years without aging. They did require some maintenance from time to time to ensure that their programming and bodily units were working correctly. If they were well maintained, the killer T-800 units could work for years and keep unleashing horrors for humanity. How can the Terminator be destroyed? While the T-800 is considered one of the Terminator's most durable models, it had many vulnerabilities and could be destroyed somehow. Since the T-800 was made out of metal, it could essentially be crushed to its death if exposed to high pressure levels. One such example would be that of a hydraulic press, and the T-800 could be easily crushed under it. The T-800 could also be defeated by unleashing electric attacks on them, but there were other ways to destroy them, as they could withstand some electronic blasts. They could even be decapitated by using sharp weapons such as shrapnel, steel rods, or pipes that could pierce through their exoskeleton with force and disable their body by weakening them. The T-800 could even be blown up with the help of a pipe bomb, and other explosions could even dislocate their limbs or cause permanent damage to their body parts. They could also be defeated with certain rifles such as the 5.56mm NATO and the .50 Browning machine gun that would easily break through their armor and destroy them. Moreover, bullets made from depleted uranium could pierce through their external armor and ruin their entire unit. They were also semi-vulnerable to plasma weapons, and their exoskeleton was resistant to molten steel and corrosive reagents. However, exposure to such elements for a prolonged period would result in their destruction. The T-800 also required immediate maintenance and repair if any of its limbs or joints were injured, and a lack of care would eventually cause the T-800 to start malfunctioning. After working for decades, the T-800s began having trouble with their servo motors, which affected their functioning, and neglect over maintenance could result in their slow destruction over time.
There's one more chip.
Conclusion. To sum it up, the T-800 Terminator is one of Skynet's most formidable creatures and has proved to be one of the most advanced killing machines. It has many features that make it stand out among other Terminator units, and it's truly one of a kind. And if you liked our content today, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. And in the meantime, have a good one and be safe. Thank you, everybody.
I'll be back.